Google has just announced a new partnership with Twitter, what is now of course called X, which means that Google advertisers are going to be able to run ads on Twitter through Google's display network. Twitter still has more than 200 million active users, so there's a lot of potential for Google advertisers that act quickly. I'll explain why in this video. So Google has announced this partnership with Twitter. Why is this happening? Why? Well, with all the things that are going on with Twitter/X over the past year or so, a lot of advertisers have stopped advertising directly on Twitter. Twitter used to sell ads direct to consumer or direct to advertiser. Remember, advertisers are consumers for these ad platforms, and they still do, but that has dropped a lot because a lot of advertisers, with the uncertainty around the platform, not liking the direction it's going in, and concerns over bots and things like that, have moved away. And reportedly, there's been a 59% drop in Twitter's ad revenue, and ad revenue being their most important source of revenue. So Twitter is thinking, we've got all this ad inventory to sell, we've got all these users, we want to put ads in front of them, so they've partnered with one of the Goliaths in the online advertising space in Google to be able to effectively sell them their inventory and sell their advertisers, us Google advertisers, their inventory in a way to make money from all those impressions. And as I said, Twitter has more than 200 million users, and a lot of those people are very active users. They're on the platform many times during the day, which means there are lots of ad impressions, lots of ad inventory to sell, which is potentially very exciting for us Google advertisers, and we need to get into that a little bit more. So for us Google advertisers, extra people to reach and extra places to sell is always a good thing. It's going to help us generate more conversions. It's what we want as Google advertisers. We want to be able to reach people, particularly if we're remarketing and those people who have interacted with us before. We want to be able to reach them in as many different places as often as possible, wherever they are spending time online. So that's certainly good news. Also, because so many advertisers have moved away from Twitter, that will have brought the cost of running Twitter ads down. So us as Google advertisers being able to advertise on Twitter through Google's display network, we might be able to take advantage of cheap ad impressions. We might be able to reach more people for the same budget. Now, as this partnership becomes more and more solidified and more Google advertisers are running ads on Twitter through Google's display network, that price is likely to increase because the cost of all these ad platforms is dictated by a simple demand and supply. So at the moment, there's lots of supply, there's lots of ad inventory, not much demand because many advertisers have moved away. That drops the price. As more and more Google advertisers take advantage of this, the demand for that ad inventory goes up and the price will go up. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the video that for those Google advertisers that jump on this quickly, once we're able to start doing this, we might be able to take advantage of some really cheap ad impressions, get some really cheap conversions for a while, especially if some Google advertisers are reluctant to go for it and have their ads run on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. So I think this is something that's really exciting and something that we should be keeping an eye on as Google advertisers as and when it becomes available. It should also be really easy for us as Google advertisers to run ads on Twitter. Twitter is a predominantly text-based platform. Of course, you can have other multimedia, but Google is the king of text-based ads online. So from that sense, it should be really straightforward. I'm sure we'll be able to use other ad formats. We'll be able to use image and video ads and all the sort of stuff that you might use on the display network anyway, but from a simple text standpoint, very easy. And I think that it should be as simple as either ticking a button for Google advertisers to take advantage of this, or even this might be added as default if you're running, say, a Performance Max campaign or a campaign on the display network, to have this as a placement option included. So it should be super simple for us to take advantage of this, which is always good news as well. Now, before I get into some of the potential drawbacks and some of the other things we need to discuss, I just want to quickly mention our done-for-you Google Ad services. So my company can create, manage, and optimize your Google Ad campaigns for you. We can take all that workload off your hands and hopefully help you get much better results when doing so as well. So if you're interested, you can click a link in the video description below. There you'll be able to go through to a page on our website where you can book in a call with one of our team members, completely free, no obligation call. You can just find out more about our services, how we work, if we've worked with a business like yours in the past. If you're interested, go ahead and book a call and hopefully we'll be working together very soon. Now, Google has also clarified that Twitter will need to abide by their publisher policies, as any location that's operating on the display network would need to in order for ads to be shown, because Google know that some Google advertisers are going to be reluctant to advertise on Twitter, and they're going to be concerned about what content their ads are going to be displayed alongside. They're also potentially going to be concerned about bots. Now, Elon Musk has talked lots about Twitter having bot issues. Of course, bot issues is not something that's exclusive to Twitter. Google has its own bot problem, but none of us as advertisers on whatever platform we're advertising on want to be advertising to bots. So that's something to be aware of and think about. I think if you're going to be using Twitter as a placement option within your Google Ad campaigns, the way to mitigate advertising to bots, wasting money. It's just to make sure that you're optimizing for the right thing. If your campaigns are optimizing for conversions or conversion value, then that's what Google's going to try and get you no matter where they're putting your ads. If you're optimizing for clicks or impressions, you're far more likely to have your ads put in front of bots. So that's not unique to display selection. That sort of applies across the Google ad landscape and even onto other ad platforms as well, to be honest. Optimize for what you really want to get. But that's a way of mitigating that. And if you are going to be running ads on Twitter, that might be more important to do there if they have a more significant bot problem. We don't know if that's the case. Maybe it's just that Elon Musk is more vocal about it than a lot of the other people that own these big tech companies. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but just something to be aware of as Google advertisers. Another question we don't yet know the answer to is how is data sharing going to work between Twitter and Google? For us to be able to run effective Google ads and for us to be able to target properly and have Google optimize and work out, who's best to target, what time of day, how many times to put ads in front of, all that sort of stuff, there's going to need to be quite a lot of data sharing. Otherwise, the ads aren't going to be as targeted, they're not going to be as optimized, and that will hit performance. Now, we don't know the answer to this yet. I'm sure the companies have thought about that. I'm sure they've discussed it in a lot of detail, but we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. We might see that these ads aren't as optimized, aren't as effective early on if there's limited data sharing, and as that continues over time, they may well improve. So just another thing to watch out for. So should you give this a go? I think like most new features, it makes sense for a lot of Google advertisers to at least try it out. I think actually a lot of Google advertisers are going to end up testing this without realizing it. As I said, if you're running Performance Max campaigns, it's probably going to be added as default. If you're running ad campaigns that use a display network, it's probably going to be added as default. Now, there would of course be an option to exclude it specifically, but most advertisers, particularly beginners, aren't going to go ahead and do that. So you aware of this? It's not just going to come into your ad account and you're not going to be aware of it. So when you do see it, jump on it, take advantage, test, start with a small budget, see how it goes. You may well be pleasantly surprised by results. Of course, you'll be able to check that if you take a look at your results by your placement data, and we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. I'll certainly update you once we get access to this and we start running and seeing results and things like that. It could be something that's pretty insignificant, doesn't move the needle, or it could be something really big. Either way, I'll let you know. Now, this new partnership with Twitter is only one of the big changes happening to Google Ads right now. New AI tools are also being introduced that are really exciting. And on that topic, I'd strongly recommend you check out this video. AI is going to transform Google Ads as it is with a whole load of other industries. You want to be at the forefront of that and taking advantage of that. And in this video, I show you how.